Are you a business owner looking to secure your financial future and create a lasting legacy? I'm Leah Garcia, a financial strategist and insurance professional, and I specialize in guiding businesses with up to 50 employees on how to effectively protect and transfer their wealth. We break down silos with my unique approach, the Wall of Wealth. Imagine a seamless collaboration among your CPA, tax attorney, estate planner, and insurance expert, each playing their part in perfect harmony, ensuring your financial strategy is not just effective, but a true masterpiece. My passion stems from my own journey, from growing up on food stamps to dreaming of building community centers that empower others. Together, we'll craft a roadmap that not only safeguards your assets, but also nurtures generational wealth for your loved ones. Let's transform your vision into reality. After all, you can't measure the heart of a champion just by looking at them. Join me, and let's make your financial future shine.
And welcome on in, everybody. Welcome to Financial Freedom, Retire Like a Boss. Today we are talking about the power of solo 401ks with Miss Leah Garcia. And guys, she is going to bring the heat with her today about what is a solo 401k. And I'm going to tell you, I'm excited for this conversation because I have my notepad out and I'm going to be taking notes, learning with you. So Miss Leah, take it away, man. What are we learning today?
Yeah, today we're going to learn about a solo 401k. And I like to think about it this way. Most people are just going through the drive-through of retirement plans. You know, they just get the package A, the value meal, the number one, the number two, the number three. But what we're talking about when it comes to solo 401ks and other things like that is these are more of a custom menu, like having a cordon bleu chef with all the off the menu items and custom pairings. And it's really that big of a difference. So I'm excited to have this conversation. And I mean, is a metaverse amazing or what? I just love this background. It's so cool.
I love it. And you didn't even have to put lipstick on or get dolled up for today. Well, you know, as we jump into this, you know, the first question that pops up is who qualifies for a solo 1K?
Yeah, solo 401k is anyone who owns a business in some form or fashion. It could be a side hustle. So it could be you have a traditional W-2 job and then you've got your side hustle. It could be an entrepreneur, solopreneur, business owner, anyone that does not have any full-time employees. So if you're a contractor and you've got 1099 workers, or if it's you and your spouse, you could set up a solo 401k for you and your spouse.
I love that. That's, you know, short, sweet, and easy, you know, of who that is, because again, you know, we know the traditional 401ks, you know, I'm being in corporate America for many, many moons. My parents being in corporate America, listening to them talk about 401ks, that was, taught to me at a younger age. But when you brought up the fact of solo 401ks, I scratched my head. So that's really helpful to understand who is the target audience of being able to, you know, identify with that. And I wanted just to take a minute and invite everybody on into the metaverse with us in the Hello Plaza here. So if you guys want to come in and watch live and be a part of this conversation, absolutely jump on in here with us. You can go out to thehellollc.io and hit the live events in the Hello Plaza. You'll jump right in here and you can even ask questions if you don't want to put them in the chat channels. But next, Miss Leah, if I own the business, can I also contribute as the employer?
So that's the beautiful thing about a solo 401k is that you can make contributions yourself as the self-employed person, but you can also contribute as the employer. And what does that do? That allows you to contribute more. You can contribute up to, I think it's like up to 25% of your net income. So those numbers can get really, really big. So if you're a high income earner, a great opportunity for you if maybe you're a little bit older and you'd like to use those catch-up provisions, you know, you really want to start stocking away those dollars. It's a great way for you to kind of double dip where you are being able to contribute as the employee and also as the employer, because you are the employer. You're the person running the business, and that's why they call it a solo 401k. A traditional 401k, you would be the employee, and then your employer oftentimes would give like an employer match. They might match you 3%, 5%, something like that. Well, in a solo 401k, now you're able to be able to do both. So there's a lot of great tax advantages when you're talking about making those contributions, especially if you're looking to really supercharge your retirement. You're really looking to add additional dollars. Maybe you haven't really contributed quite a bit and now you really want to beef up that retirement plan. This gives you a lot of flexibility with that solo 401k to be able to do that.
Yeah. And you're talking about getting in there and building that retirement plan. And as anybody listening to this, sometimes we're a younger generation. We're in our 20s and our 30s, and we don't think that it's necessary. Or we could be in our later years where we're in our 50s and maybe late 50s or early 60s, and we think, whoa, it's way too late. What is your advice on that? What's your advice on age or just getting started?
I would say if you're just getting started, it could be a great place to start because there's a lot of flexibility. So a traditional retirement plan, especially if you're somebody who's like say in your 40s, that money is pretty much locked in until you're 59 and a half. You don't really have access to those dollars until the age of 59 and a half. That goes for your traditional IRAs, your traditional 401ks, any of those traditional retirement plans. But the solo 401k will allow you to have flexibility that you can access a portion of that money. And you can do things like borrow a portion of it to pay off high interest debt. Maybe you need a loan for your business. You can also have a lot more flexibility when it comes to retirement options and investment options. So traditional 401k, you're going to be, again, going through the drive-through where you're going to get the stocks, funds, mutual funds, maybe some EFTs, things like that. This really allows you, I really think of like the millennials. They're more astute when it comes to investing. They really like the hands-on and be able to kind of tinker with things. Gives you more options where they can invest in things like precious metals, real estate, even Bitcoin. So it gives a lot of flexibility. But if you're older and say you don't really need that control or you don't feel like you need that different types of flexibility, it's still going to give you much more opportunity to have a bigger contribution. So if you're on the higher tax bracket, this can be a really helpful tool.
That's great information, especially the people who are on higher tax brackets, because people, in that setting are looking to be able to mitigate legally, how to be able to, earn some tax breaks. And that might be a great, thing to explore. Is there a Roth option available with a solo 401k?
Yeah, there is a Roth option, and just you're smarter than the average bear, Ms. Tara, but a lot of people might not know what is a traditional and what is a Roth. A Roth means that it is already been taxed. So that way, when you put the money in, it is tax exempt or tax advantage when you pull that money out. So you can have a Roth solo 401k. You can also have a traditional solo 401k. So it just really depends on what your strategy. This is when it really comes down to strategy. Again, we're talking about custom solutions. We're not going through the drive-through and just picking the value meal. We're looking at long term. We're looking at not just taxes today, but do you intend to be in a higher tax bracket in the future? Is your company still growing? Do you have other appreciating assets? Do you plan to sell a business? So there are a lot of things that come into play in that. These are not one size fits all. This is really not a do-it-yourself solution. But if you're somebody who likes the flexibility, you feel that your business is doing well, and you feel that your income is, you're going to want to be able to have higher contributions, and maybe you feel like you would like to be able to offer this to you and your spouse. So it gives you that opportunity to really make those custom solutions.
Yeah, that's that key part of, the customization. Again, we want to drive home the fact that this is not driving through, if you're from Texas, Whataburger and getting a number one with cheese on it, which is a cheeseburger. Or if, we're driving through Chick-fil-A, if you're from any state that has Chick-fil-A and you get a number one and with a 10-piece count nugget with it, and a large lemonade. This is not that option. This is really where you want to sit down with a trusted advisor like Miss Leah Garcia herself and be able to really talk this out, because guess what? All of our lives are not the same, and we have different goals, different circumstances, different, influences that happen. And this is where the customization is important. And so just because it says custom does not mean that you're going to, have to pay for the custom. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we go, oh, girl, did you see that custom purse? Yeah, it's $20,000. That's not the case. You sit down and you book a coffee chat with Miss Leah and start that ball rolling. And that coffee chat is free. That 15-minute coffee chat is free. It's not $20,000. And that's where you get to be able to sit down with Miss Leah and have a conversation about what really works for you. And so, Miss Leah, we're going to pause here for a second and take a quick word from one of your little sponsors here about the Wall of Wealth. So let's jump into that real quick.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Introducing Leah Garcia's Wall of Wealth, the ultimate one-page financial plan to protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth with confidence. Whether you're a business owner or just starting your financial journey, this step-by-step guide gives you the tools to create a solid foundation for long-term success. Don't wait to transform your money mind shift. Download your free copy today at leahgarcia.io and start building your wall of wealth now.
And there you guys go. So if you're interested in learning more about that step-by-step guide that Miss Leah has, guys, it is a whole interactive portion of, everything. You can talk to an advisor. And then what I mean by that is you can get into with Miss Leah, but you can ask questions. There are some FAQs on there. There's, a bunch of information packed in, presentation, downloads, interactive guide to where you can actually fill it out and be able to apply it to what is your circumstances. And so we encourage you to go out there. It's all free. So go to leahgarcia.io, download that bad boy, put it in your little pocket there, and be able to start working, your wall of wealth. So that way you can build that for not only for you, but for future generations, because that's what this is all about, is building generational wealth like a boss. So, Miss Leah, let's jump back into this 401 solo 401 conversation that we're having here. We've talked about what it is. We've talked about, who can contribute to it. We've talked about, is it a Roth option? We've talked about, what age do we get started? How can we get started? Are there income limits to this, though?
Yeah, there's really not income limits. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that in some retirement plans, there can be income limits. So when it comes to the solo 401k, there really are not income limits. And again, I want to kind of highlight that those contribution limits can be really significant. You also have that catch-up provision. So if you're looking, somebody who's a little bit older and you haven't squirreled away a lot of money, but your income is doing well, and you really want to start putting significant dollars in, this could be a great option for you. And fees on these traditionally are much lower than traditional 401ks and such.
Great. And speaking of limits, I know like on Roth options, like Roth IRAs and things like that, and this is very basic financial information here, guys. Is there a limit on the solo 401ks that you can put in? Or are those kind of like limitless? It's just, ability for you to start kind of building that generational wealth.
Will allow you, yeah, that's a great question. So they'll allow you to put up to 25% of your net income. Plus if you're over the age of 50, you do have that catch-up amount. And so that could be up to $70,500 a year, which is really, really nice. and you can even do up to 100% of your compensation up to $345,000. Now
Wow.
think about, if you're a high net worth person, you've got a big income and you're looking for some ways to squirrel some money aside. I mean, you can't do those kinds of things really easily with like a 401k for sure, and traditional IRA either.
That is why, ladies and gentlemen, we get into conversations with Miss Leah Garcia, because we learn. And we learned the fact that there are, different ways, legal ways, to be able to put your money in. Yes, I like to make sure we talk about that, because we are not here to promote anything else, but it's about making sure how to mitigate your, how much. Look, at the end of the day, you earn 10 oranges. You want to take all 10 oranges home, but you can't, because in our society, we have to pay Mr. Sam, Uncle Sam, and we have to pay him our taxes. And so if we can have a conversation with a financial advisor and an insurance professional like Miss Leah, we can learn how to be able to move our money around properly and be able to maybe mitigate some of that, and that's the purpose of it. And that is also why they create these advantages and these strategies to be able to do so. So if I have a spouse, Miss Leah, can they also have a 401 solo 401k?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You can also set up one for your spouse. So it could be you and your spouse. So those dollars could really add up for retirement. And I mean, that's, if you're looking for that catch-up provision, that could really add up and really start squirreling away some significant dollars towards your retirement.
Yeah. And I know we haven't really talked about this, but for funding your solo 401k, do you have to have a minimum amount to fund a solo 401k, and then once it is funded, is it have to be funded on a regular routine basis, or is it kind of whenever you want to put it in? How does that work, the funding?
This is a great question. This is the beauty of it. And let me kind of rewind a little bit. I like to use this for new entrepreneurs. A lot of times new entrepreneurs, they have fired their boss. And so they no longer have that they have the 401k, but it's kind of sitting there with their old employer. Here's an option for you. What if you roll this money into your solo 401k now, and then you have that ability to take loans against it, and you can use those loans to pay down high interest credit card, because those loans, there's no penalty, right, when you use it. There's no credit check. There's no tax returns, and the interest is usually about 4.5%. So it's great for you and your spouse, but also if you're a new entrepreneur and you have that old 401k from a former employer. So you could roll that in. Usually you need about $25,000 to do that. But you could set up your own solo 401k and you can fund it when you want to. You can fund it as you like. You can set it up where you're adding contributions monthly. But a lot of business owners, we kind of reconcile our income at the end of the year, right? Mm-hmm. Then we know what we kind of have. Okay, we've paid Uncle Sam. We've got everything done. So this is what I have allocated for retirement. I can go ahead and lump sum it. So a lot of flexibility with that.
Yeah. And speaking of loans, you answered that question. So that leads me to a follow-up question of, does the for solo 401k have to be funded for a certain amount of time before you can borrow against it? And if so, what is that time frame? And also, is there a certain amount that you can borrow up to? So I know, like in other different products that you offer, especially in insurance, cash value life insurance policies, there's a certain amount that you can borrow up to. Is that the same for solo 401ks?
Yeah, you don't have to have your solo 401k for any amount of time, but you can only borrow up to $50,000 or 50% of your solo 401k balance. So the maximum is 50,000, or whichever's lower, or 50% of the balance. So if you had $100,000, you could borrow $50,000. But if you have a $30,000 balance, then you can only borrow up to 15,000. But entrepreneurs, $15,000 can make the difference between, having that high interest loans. I see people, oh my gosh, I see people that are taking these loans that are 33%, 34% because they get kind of in a little quandary and they're trying to figure things out. If you've got a 401k and you convert it to that solo 401k, that could be your little nest egg. Maybe that's your emergency fund. And remember, there is no penalty if you borrow from your solo 401k. You're not going to have to pay that penalty, that 10% penalty, even if you're under the age of 59 and a half. There's no credit check. There's no tax returns required, right? Interest
Wow.
is usually about 5%, which is huge. To get 5 years to pay back that money, that could go a long way to helping that entrepreneur keep the lights on, keep their business going, and keep their dream thriving.
Yeah, that, $15,000, would be a huge difference. And again, that's, dependent on how much is funded into the solo 401k. But just knowing that and understanding the funding and how that works. And really, like, when we left corporate America, those traditional 401ks and moved those over into different strategies. And a lot of times people don't realize that they have that option. They work, 10, 20 years in corporate America. They've got a 401k and they don't know what to do with it. So they just leave it sitting there. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's maturing, but there's, you could look at other options that would be maybe would garner you some greater benefit by moving it. And so that's where we, again, guys, get in touch with Miss Leah Garcia. Go out to leahgarcia.io. She's got a beautiful button right there that says book a coffee chat right at the top of her amazing business box there. And get in and get yourself a cup of coffee, sit down with Miss Leah, have your questions and ask. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. And that's what is about, there's no dumb question as we were taught when we were little. But we somehow, for some reason, I do this as well. We just get in this thing of not asking questions. And I find myself, doing that as well at times.
Yeah.
And we just got to get back to being curious. We got to be curious about these things. And I'll be honest, guys, as a 43-year-old female that has, worked 22 plus years in corporate America, I've been around the block a time or two. I did not know what a solo 401k was until Miss Leah was like, hey, let's do a conversation about that. And I was like, well, that's great, because I don't know what that is either. And so it's really, this is the information. This is why we plug in and have these conversations. This is why, we're so grateful for you, Miss Leah, that, you come out and you share this information, because it's educational and it helps us understand really that there's more out there than just what we were taught by what our parents were doing, and maybe the stuff was available then, maybe it wasn't. But the thing is now is the traditional investment strategy that your parents did is probably not going to be the same one that you're going to use. And that's why you need to sit down with Miss Leah Garcia here and be able to have those conversations, because someone who is packed with a wealth of knowledge and understanding, coupled with, 20 plus years in this industry, she knows what she's talking about. So I happily encourage everybody to get over there and, book that coffee chat and get curious, because guess what? You continuing to not show up in your life and not taking action in your wealth strategy is only hurting you. Your wealth strategy is going to be your golden ticket to the end. And like, for instance, my mother is 74 years old. She was very wise. She worked for the state of Idaho for many years, and she did that because she was building a retirement strategy. Now, she lives nice, comfortable life. She's taken care of. The opposite side of that, and why I share this, is my father, who was 10 years older than her, did not. And by the time that my mom, and he's since passed away, but by the time my mom was ready to try to get some investment strategy for him and life insurance behind him and all that, he was to an age where it would have been easier for my mom just to like call Leah and say, I've got $1,500 a month that I need to, that I'm not going to put in the life insurance policy. Where do I put that? And those are the conversations that need to happen. And maybe that's you. Maybe you have a loved one. Maybe your father or your mother or your, aunt or uncle is older and they are not planning, to do something that will take care of them. And ultimately will become your responsibility. And so it is also your responsibility to be able to help those people and push them towards professionals like Miss Leah to have those conversations. So Miss Leah, is there any closing comments that you want to add about the solo 401k?
Yeah, well, I want to welcome Miss Crystal Phoenix. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if she has any questions, but I want to highlight something that you shared, you touched on really quick, and that is never leave your old retirement plan with your former employer. When you leave your employer, whether you're going to another job or you fired your boss and you're going to become an entrepreneur, definitely take that plan with you. You have more options. If you are managing it yourself, you can have someone help you. Just so many more options. And if you are with your employer, you only have access to the options that they allow you to. Many people don't know that any type of retirement plan really has a lot more options, but it's just up to the custodian. The custodians are the ones that put that bumper rails on that. And that could get into a deep conversation, but really know that it's your money. Take it with you. Don't leave it there. You want to be able to make the decisions. It's your money. It's your retirement plan. So bring it with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that would kind of be like walking away. I don't gamble, but that'd be like at the casino, I guess, at the blackjack table, walking away and leaving all your chips there. And you're like, are you going to take those? You want to make sure you take your money with you. So that's great advice. But yes, we do want to say hi to everybody in here. We have Crystal. It's so good to see you as well. Hello to Jagish, who has joined us, and Ramachandran. I hope I said that right. I know I probably didn't. I apologize. But thank you guys for jumping in here and sharing this conversation today with us on LinkedIn. But yeah, Ms. Leah, this has been such an educational conversation about what a solo 401k is and why it's important to get curious about your retirement. Even if the solo 401k is not what you need, just get curious about it and get out there and book a coffee chat with Miss Leah to be able to have that conversation about your retirement. So that way you're not 65, 70 years old and having to go work at Walmart as a greeter, which we have all shared that very soon was not going to be. They're going to have robots that are doing that. So humans are going to be
no more greeters.
Let's not be Walter from Jeff Dunham, get your crap and get out.
Yeah. That part.
Hello, my beautiful friends, by the way.
I love it. Thank you, Miss Crystal. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's not be
Walter if anybody sees Jeff Durham. If that's okay. I did have a brief question.
Yes, ma'am.
With the solo 401k, is it easy to set up, like, if you can't set one up through your employers?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Is it easy?
Is like setting one up, like if you can't get one through your employer, is it easy to set something like that up?
Oh yeah, it's easy. Just call me. I'll set it up for you.
Well, not for me, but for Matt. And absolutely. And I saw that you were here in the plaza, so I even got my headset on for you guys.
Yay.
So I just had to drop in and say hi. I love what you guys have done, by the way, with the plaza lately. I saw the chess game out there and everything. You have really expanded. It looks great, Tara, David. You guys have done an amazing job in the last year since we did my book launch here.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Crystal. Mm-hmm. First, for jumping in here and putting your headsets on and coming on into the metaverse. So those that can't see Miss Crystal on screen, she is in the metaverse with us. So thank you. She's, showing everybody here that you can jump in here and have this conversation. And because she did, she was able to come in and ask Miss Leah some, her question. And so thank you. Thank you for being a great example. And thank you for the love of, the plaza and the metaverse. And, and thank you for asking that question about how to do that and who can set that up. Because again, these are questions that everybody has. They're simple questions that, need to be answered so people can make their the best decision that works for them and their family. So thank you, Ms. Crystal.
Yeah, great question. And just by the way, it's not something you can do on your own because there's a lot of compliance that has to be done with that. So hopefully our viewers will get that as a takeaway. It's not something you can really set up yourself. You do have to go to an expert who has all of the resources and compliance that it has to go through in order to set it up.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah,
I
that
say
is
that because
that's
I am
something
a do-it-myselfer, and and
aren't we
I
all?
share that, I share that because I don't think I want to do it myself on this, just because of what you talk about, the compliance and things like that, and knowing, who needs to be where and what information needs to be filled out and provided. And so it is extremely, guys, it's also extremely smart to get with someone who has the background like Leah does, that has all the years of experience. There's this little funny fable I'm going to share with you guys. There's this gentleman and he has a door, and his door keeps on, it won't stay open. Every time he opens a door, it just swings kind of closed and it shuts itself, or it'll just close almost to where it's almost closed, but it won't stay open unless he puts something in front of it. Also, when he closes it, it won't stay closed. And he's frustrated. This guy is absolutely frustrated. He's got his hammer out. He's got everything in his toolbox out trying to fix this. He's been trying to fix it for days, if not weeks. Finally, he gets tired of it and he says, you know what? I'm going to go ask the expert. I'm going to hire an expert to fix this door because I'm tired of it. Expert calls the expert. Expert shows up. Expert has it done in 2 minutes and says that will be $500, please. Now, I'm not going to say Miss Lee is charging you $500, but the point of this fable is the fact that the guy who door was not working and he couldn't get it fixed. He says, $500? You were only here for a minute. And he's like, but your door's working, correct? And he's like, yeah. I mean, you did the job, but $500? And he says, that's the difference. He says, how long did you take to work on that? He says, oh, I've been working on this for like 2 weeks. And he says, and I did it in a minute. He says, that's what happens when you hire experience. I have over 20 years of experience. I knew exactly what was wrong. I came in, tapped here, tapped there. It was done. He's like, but I tapped there and it didn't do anything. He says, because you didn't tap right, because you don't have the experience. He says, if I was you 20 years ago, I was in the same position, but because I stuck with it, I kept learning, I kept educating. This is my profession. This is what I do. I advise people about it. That's why. And so why I share that, guys, is because we can do things on our own, but there's a huge learning curve. And there's usually information and, guidelines that we miss because we don't know this. This is things that Leah can bring to the table. These are things that strategies Leah can bring to the table and share with you because of the 20 plus years she's had within this industry. She can guide you and educate you so you can make the best decision that works best for you and your family. So that's why I share that fable, is to understand that it's, Leah's not going to charge you $500 out the gate just to have a conversation. It's 15-minute coffee conversation for free. Jump in there. But it's important to hire the professionals because they know what they're doing. Ms. Leah, what are your closing remarks, as we get ready to leave everybody for the day, about, why it's important to be doing something, whether it's a solo 401k or not?
Yeah, I love your fable. It's so true. And, here's the thing, is that when it comes to investing and retirement, it is not a do-it-yourself project. It really is not. It really is something that you really need to get with an expert, because there's so many things that go wrong, so many potholes and blindside you that you're not even aware of. We don't know what we don't know. And so many times people will see something on TikTok or YouTube and they're like, that must be for me because it sounds just like me. Well, guess what? Every person is different. It is really custom to you. We have so many options these days, but if we don't know what we're doing, we can create a mess. And I see a lot of people in a lot of messes and they say, gosh, I wish I would have talked to you 20 years ago. gosh, where were you when, 10 years ago before I was doing that? And when it comes to investing, most people are playing what I call money checkers. They're making some money to pay some money. They're making some money to spend some money. They're making some money to pay Uncle Sam. Here's the thing. We got to take control and we got to start playing money chess. We got to start really using strategy. We got to understand the rules of the game. We have to understand that we can condense our time frames and we can make up for lost time, but if we use the right tools that are there for us.
Yeah. Using the right tools when they show and when we need them is the port. And that's one of the biggest things I will say is that as humans, we've got to be able to identify that we need help, use the tools that are provided, and be able to take that action, or don't. And then there could be a life of living with that regret. Right. So that's the choice that we get to live at and make. But I'll be honest, I don't like giving my money to Uncle Sam. So anything that tax strategy, financial information that is helpful like this is not only going to help me, but it's going to help my family. It's going to help future generations because this is information that can be passed down once you have an amazing, strategy in place. And you could be beginning, you could be, well into your strategy and not know what else you need to do. And maybe you need a second opinion. Maybe you already have somebody that's working with it, but you just don't know if they're up to times on it. Give Miss Leah a call. She'll be able to help you with that. So with that said, guys, we greatly appreciate you being here. It's been a fabulous conversation about Retire Like a Boss, the power of a solo 401k. If you have any questions, I know sometimes we don't want to drop our questions in comments, chat channels and that, because it might be a little personal. Reach out to Miss Leah, get with touch with her, go out to leahgarcia.io, book that coffee chat and have that conversation because it will change your life if you choose to utilize the knowledge that is given. And with that said, we greatly appreciate you and everybody for being here. And we're going to go ahead and send you out with a little video here and reminding everybody that to have a beautiful Friday coming up and a beautiful weekend and a safe holiday weekend for those. And just, be safe. And with that said,
Hey
take
there,
care.
I'm Leah Garcia. Have you ever wanted a career where you truly make a difference in
All right,
people's
Miss Leah,
lives?
we have that running in
I'm
the
building a team
background,
of driven
and then we'll
financial and
end
insurance
with
professionals.
that.
People who want to help families and
Very
businesses
cool.
protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth with confidence.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about guiding others to achieve financial security,
So,
then
at
you're
the
exactly
end of the
who I'm
day,
looking
I
for.
greatly appreciate
Join my supportive,
that. I'm going to
growth-oriented
make sure I don't,
environment and
overlap
unlock
here
your
and
full potential.
hit
Ready
end
to take the
screen,
next
so I'm not
step?
talking
Visit
and they're still
leahgarcia.io
streaming.
and let's start building your
Yeah.
future together.
One second.